Thank you so very much, Mbuso, Chandre. Thank you so very much for the opportunity, and to Alinda as well, for really reaching out and granting us at Tiger Brands the opportunity to share our journey with Free to Grow and our experience. And I'm hoping that through this conversation, and I really do hope that it's a conversation, through this conversation, we're able to share our learnings and also just to share the value that we've really been able to unlock through our partnership with Free to Grow. So thank you once again for the opportunity. And I will jump right in, if I may share my screen, and so that I may then take us through the presentation. I hope please let me know if you can see it.
It's coming up.
Perfect. Let me just put it in preso mode for us. Is that okay?
100%.
Okay, so I'm going to start us off again, just to give us a little bit of a background and introduce Tiger Brands. I know that for most South Africans, we know some of our brands. We interact with the brands on a day-to-day basis. But Tiger Brands is a proudly South African business with over 100 years, or over 100 years in existence. And it's really home to some of South Africa's most iconic brands. Again, brands that we interact and engage with on a daily basis. And so this is the organization that I am part of. And this is the journey that then Free to Grow has partnered with us on, in terms of really driving our employee engagement. But this is us, big, proudly South African, and really with a proud heritage. But that proud heritage does not mean that we are immune to the realities of the economy. The fact of the matter is that over the last couple of years, the business environment has been tough. We've encountered slow economic growth, inflation, which has really impacted our consumers and what they're able to consume on a day-to-day basis. And that has really been challenging. And this challenging environment really includes things such as your load shedding, which has been really costly for us, unrest predominantly in the KZN and Gauteng areas over the last a few years ago. We've had COVID also really being a cost driver for us as we tried to maintain production, be able to still maintain decent prices for our consumer. It really impacted our ability to be cost effective and delivering value to our consumers as well. And of course, in-house, we've had some challenges in terms of the ER environment. A few years ago in our KZN business unit in snacks and treats, we had a long protracted strike that lasted over almost 6 weeks. And again, really damaging in terms of our availability of product and our ability to service our consumers. So this really just gives you a sense of the environment we've been in. With all our rich history, experience, we have not been immune. This has impacted our ability to be competitive, impacted our ability to deliver really competitive prices to our consumers. And so upon that reflection, it was really, there was a burning platform for us to be able to really respond to these challenges and shift and to take a different direction, or at least pause and consider the direction that we were going in and consider the changes that we needed to make. That being said, also as an organization, internally, there were tensions in terms of just balancing and walking the fine line and the balancing act of really leading an organization and servicing an employee base that almost existed in two worlds, the old and the new. You had all these tensions at play, young talent, mature and experienced and seasoned talent. You've got those who are really looking for fluidity, flexibilities, those who are really looking for predictable and safe, trying to balance an environment of compliance, but giving the freedom for bold decision-making, risk-taking and innovation. And so again, and you'll see the number of tensions that we called out, but it really speaks to the challenge of leading and supporting a very diverse workforce that is Tiger Brands. And so again, in the past 5 years, it really gave us a compelling reason for us to fundamentally review how we do business, so that we could really, again, get back to putting the consumer at the heart of everything that we do, while being agile, innovative, but also making us very, very competitive. And so in the context of the inward challenges that we have, in the context of the macro challenges that we have of the economy and a consumer who's very much under pressure, we launched really the Bring Back the Tigers Raw culture transformation journey, which was really, again, about getting back to the consumer and being able to be far more responsive. In this journey, there were 4 key priorities that were set up. One was, again, to refocus on the core of the portfolio, so really simplifying and getting back to what it is that is the heart of what Tiger does. It was about being able to, again, reset and be able to ensure that we deliver value to our consumer. Again, putting the consumer back at the center, while being able to execute in a very agile way and being able to innovate much faster and taking the innovation to the consumer much quicker, and making sure that, again, the operating model would allow us to be able to be flexible, agile, and really consumer-centric. In this, we then started a business transformation journey. So far, the transformation milestones that we've reached in November, we've got we appointed our new CEO, who then immediately started the review of the operating model. In February, this review of the operating model really started to take shape with the appointments of the new managing directors for our 6 business units. And since May, we've really been working as an entire organization in the various business units and the business partnering functions to make sure that we begin to align our ways of work, streamline processes, simplify processes to enable decision-making and really enable action and agility for the organization. And again, having looked at our refocused areas and our priorities, understanding that we're moving into a new operating model, it was really important to take a moment, pause, and reflect on the strategy that had been formulated previously, to really understand whether it speaks to the future that we were reimagining for ourselves as an organization, and what it is that we need to amplify, and what it was that we needed to really, really dial up as our focus areas. And so this is our refreshed business strategy. What's really compelling and what really speaks to most Tigers as you engage with them, as you ask them what it is that really resonates, it's really our purpose. We nourish and nurture more lives every day. It really speaks to everything that we aspire to do and everything that we do on a daily basis, is to make sure that whatever we do from a quality perspective, from an affordability perspective, from a consumer needs state perspective, that what we do is to nourish and nurture more lives in every single day in which our consumers engage with our products. It's also really important that our vision has been reshaped slightly, in that the focus is again is looking at ourselves as a Southern African food manufacturer. And so the focus is really understanding that we are primarily, before all else, a South African and Southern African FMCG organization. And so that's where our focus is. But again, really important to see that the consumer remains at the heart. And it's also about being more accessible. So understanding that being accessible means we really need to make sure that we do the right things so that more of our consumers can be able to enjoy our products. The key enablers there are listed, very important, and I'll take a few minutes here just to highlight the fact that our people, the Ignite Our People pillar, is the #1 of the key enablers. And I think the realization and the acknowledgement really from our leadership team is that we can have the best strategies on paper, we can have the best manufacturing sites in the world, but if you do not ignite our people, if we do not capture the hearts and minds of each and every Tiger, we will not be able to deliver this very audacious and really ambitious vision that we have for ourselves and the strategy that we've set up for ourselves until 2030. So it's really important here that we understand that igniting our people and our people are critical, are pivotal actually to the delivery of our strategy. Of course, all of this is always underpinned by our winning culture, our values, and our winning behaviors, which have been articulated for several years. But again, it's always important that in everything that we do, we are grounded in our values as an organization, and that everything that we do and in the way we structure ourselves and in the way we set our teams up, that we are all able to live and experience our culture in every way possible. And so having reviewed structures, having reviewed the business strategy, the people leadership team then sat back and thought, what does this mean for us? In what ways do we need to reshape our strategy, our people plan, so that it really supports the organizational strategy as well? In that way, we then looked at our pillars. Historically, our pillars were ordered as talent, leadership, and great place to work. And in the recognition that actually, if we're going to ignite the hearts and minds of our tigers, if we're going to ignite our tigers, then really it's about making sure that we create an environment that is nurturing to that culture. And so great place has come to the forefront and has come to the left of our strategy. And it really just speaks to how we've reprioritized as the people leadership team, so that culture is of primary importance in the next couple of years. Of course, this is closely linked with leadership, because the fact of the matter is that culture is experienced for most employees, and sort of the experience of the organization is experienced through leaders on a day-to-day basis. And so the interconnectedness of culture and leadership is something that we could not really shy away from. And so we acknowledge that, and we've coupled these, and we're working on these quite intentionally, so that we then do create a culture that ignites. Of course, talent is not far behind, will always be an important pillar, because again, we need to attract the people, our talent, we need to develop and grow our talent, and we need to retain our talent. And so this is our people strategy, all the intent of which is to be able to support the broader business strategy. That's always underpinned by execution excellence, making sure that we leverage the technology available, making sure that we simplify, we automate processes as much as possible, so that we enable our tigers to execute at pace, but also to be able to really take out the more simple activities and to allow our tigers to elevate and to really involve themselves and engage themselves with more value-adding work. Again, always underpinned by our values. And so as we then started on this culture transformation journey, we have our change management framework, and this is the framework that really informs a lot of the processes and the initiatives that we initiate in the group. So really, very simplistically, it's about getting leadership buy-in through the aligning of our leaders. It's making sure that we empower our leaders, so sharing of information, capability building, everything that we need to do for leaders to be able to make decisions and take leadership and ownership in the change or the transformation programs. It's about making sure that everybody's equipped to be able to own their journey and to be a partner in the journey. And then it's also about embedding and sustaining whatever transformation we would have embarked on. And then finally, it's always about evaluating and celebrating. Importantly, again, engagement and communication, leadership, and also ensuring that the employee experience and well-being do not suffer as we go through these change or transformation.
If I may interject, Refilwe, I see that in your change model, leadership is the first, aligning our leaders actually comes first. Is that just a coincidence, or is that fundamental to actually be having a successful, if I can say, implementation of employee engagement initiatives? Or is this just a coincidence?
It's absolutely not a coincidence. It is very intentional, and it is fundamental. I think on a call of mostly HR practitioners, we do understand that change management requires leadership buy-in, and ensuring that it's not just superficial buy-in, but there's a deep understanding of what it is that you're working towards or that you're proposing, making sure that the vision is clear and making sure that there is a deep understanding of the role that the leaders will play is quite important. So it's very intentional. No change can be effective. And in fact, in our free to grow journey, that has been one of the learnings, which I will happily unpack a little bit later. But having your leaders fully understand and appreciate what it is that you're trying to achieve and what you will need from them is absolutely critical.
Thank you so much. I think also speaks to a need of the types of leaders that we require in the type of business environment that we have broadly. Not leaders that are sharing lip service, but are also driving the real behaviors in how they operate on a daily basis in a broader context, not just the Tiger context.
Absolutely. So, and that whole bit about the types of leaders that you need is quite linked with what you will need from them, right? Because if they are not in a space where they're able to sort of jump in, support, guide, be available through transformations and changes, which is what a lot of employees and people will require. A leader who's visible, a leader who's present. It becomes very, very difficult. So yes, it's about, you know, the kind of leader you need, and that will enable you to get what you need out of them as well. So, but those are some of our learnings in this journey, which again I will unpack a little bit later. So this has been a transformation journey, our roadmap. I won't spend a lot of time on this, but again, we've been quite intentional. Sorry, my lights just went off. So we've been quite intentional about making sure that we build in free to grow as part of the transformation journey. And again, it speaks to our understanding and our appreciation that without really being able to bring our frontline leaders on the journey as well as the teams on this journey, we will have missed an opportunity to really bring all of Tiger on the journey and to really ignite our employees. We are also quite clear in terms of the shifts that we need to make in terms of our organization and our culture. We really do need to move from being internally focused to, again, consumer obsessed, links up with our business strategy. It's about moving from a culture of way too many priorities to being quite focused in the work that we do, and going from risk averse and prone to quite a lot of analysis. I think analysis paralysis is what some people might call it, and moving right back to being an agile, execution-focused organization. There are many others shifts that we want to make, but these are the ones that we've really focused on in terms of what it is that we need to do as an organization, especially in the next year or two, as we ramp up our growth and really accelerate towards our 2030 strategy ambition. From a leadership perspective, it's important for us as we shift the culture, the leadership style also needs to, and the leaders that we have also need to shift. So we really see ourselves as wanting to shift from bosses to inspirational enterprise leaders. So just, you know, the know-it-all tyrant to a liberator who creates an environment that is safe, psychologically safe for debate, for challenging, one who invests their time in the growth of the talent and the individuals in their teams and the people broadly in the organization. So we're really, as we articulate the culture that we want and the culture shifts we want to make, we're also quite clear that there's a nexus between that and the way that our leaders need to show up. And this is how we've articulated that for ourselves as an organization. And so as we aspire to grow people-centric agile leaders, this is our leadership framework then that says, you know, one needs to start by leading self, be able to lead people, lead performance, lead innovation, and lead partnership. What's important here, and this is where the linkages with Free to Grow really, really became quite clear for us as we started to engage with Alinda and the team, is that what Free to Grow allows us in sort of the full spectrum of the offerings is really be able to tap into a couple of the offerings that are available. One of them, again, I think, which I will unpack a little bit later, really speaks to the leading the self. So achieving self-mastery, and being able to really show up authentically as a leader, receptive to feedback, but also being able to take action on feedback is really important for us. And also, again, very important to lead people, inspiring winning performance, nurtures and grows talent. And again, as we started to engage with Free to Grow and the team, there was a very clear connection between the way we've articulated and sort of our framework of the Tiger leader of the future and what it is that Free to Grow has to offer. And so again, as we engaged and we continued in this journey of transformation, the linkages between ourselves and Free to Grow really, really became quite crystal clear for us. But we also want to as along with the leaders, and the move and the shifts and the culture shifts and the shifts in leadership and the future Tiger leader that we have in our minds and that we aspire to, we also aspire to an employee experience that really ignites. And the Ignite framework really is around making sure or creating an environment that has our Tigers passionate about being in Tiger, where they're celebrated for their unique selves, where our Tigers believe and experience growth because their leaders, the peers and the environment really believe in them as individuals and inspires the growth in them. It's about making sure that we embrace our vision, our purpose as an organization, that we nourish and nurture more consumers' lives every day by making sure that we are agile and responsive to the consumer needs. It's also making sure that we create an environment that allows people to innovate and grow the great brands that we have to even greater heights. It's being included as a team, a member of Team Tiger holistically as Team Tiger, not just in the small pockets in which we exist, and also creating an environment that leaves our Tigers energized to explore and create really, really new consumer solutions for our consumers. So that is what it is that we're trying to do. So from a leadership perspective, we're quite clear on the leaders that we're looking for. From a culture perspective, quite clear in terms of the shifts that we need to make to get to the future state where we see ourselves. And then from a people experience point of view, we're quite clear in terms of what it is that we want to deliver so that our Tigers are ignited. And so in that context and that background and just a little bit sharing of our frameworks and what it is and how we have shaped sort of our people plan, I'll share a little bit now about our journey with Free to Grow. Here I'm specifically speaking about the journey with our beverages business because they were really the pioneers as we started to roll out Free to Grow, specifically Lead Q and WorkQ. So a little bit background on beverages. Beverages is a manufacturing site, manufacturer of our favorite Oros, Energade, Halls, and a number of other beverage products. It's based in Gauteng, in Rudakop, and it's now currently part of the broader category of snacks, treats, and beverages. At the time when we started this journey, it was beverages as a standalone unit. Now, looking at our employee engagement score, we run an employee engagement or an employee survey, culture survey. The last one that we ran was in 2022, and these were the results. Now, you would have imagined that having gotten 7 points higher in terms of employee engagements, having achieved 88% response rate, the team would have sat back and rested on their laurels and said, well, actually, these are okay scores, what's the problem? But the fact of the matter is, and this is how we engage and we work with the employee survey feedback, is that every organization, every business unit, every function takes the results and we really go a bit deeper. And so in going a bit deeper, we start to understand what are the opportunities to improve, where are the strengths that we need to leverage, and what do we need to do constantly to make sure that in every survey and on every other day, our employees are having a better experience than they did the day before. And so in that work, we discovered 3 primary opportunities. These opportunities are related to work-life balance. Here it's important to understand it's about employees having a sense that they're able to balance work and personal life effectively. It's also about then the next opportunity was really around belonging, a, a lack of a sense of belonging at Tiger Brands. And also, quite importantly for us, the opportunity was here around leaders at Tiger Brands value different opinions, inclusive leadership. So these opportunities were opportunities that did not score very well within the beverages team. As you can see, they are significantly below the global benchmark. And so despite the top level or the top line decent scores and good engagement rate, engagement that we achieved in 2022, when you scratch beneath the surface and you really interrogate the data and the employee feedback, there were some concerning trends that came through and some concerning insights that came through. Of course, here, this is where really Free to Grow again we began to make the link with Free to Grow a lot more explicitly, because one of the things that really speaks to me and spoke to me when we first met with Alinda is this broken window, right, of frontline leaders. If you reflect on the previous slide around inclusive leaders being an area of opportunity, and here we look at the impact of what leaders can have on our employees. So this broken window and this quote above it really then starts to speak to some of the insights and the deeper insights that were coming out of our employee survey. And again, looking at what it is that we were trying to achieve, which was really igniting our people, speaking to the concept of really lighting a fire within our teams, really resonated with what we were trying to achieve as the people leadership team. And there we began our journey with Free to Grow. It was also understanding that it's not a journey, it's a journey, not just a once-off activity or intervention. And it's really spoke to the journey that we are going on as a broader organization and what it is that we're trying to achieve with our leaders. So it's really about getting our leaders and our teams on board. It's about keeping them on board. It's about strengthening the connection and well-being. And it's also about accelerating and growing the careers with some of the programs that we've really started to leverage from the Free to Grow team. So WorkQ really for us is important in the sense that we've got leaders and their team members sitting together for 2 consecutive days, really beginning to unpack and understand where they are at as individuals. It's also then about our leaders having 3 days as well, reflecting on their impact on their teams and what they need to be doing differently. It's about then pulling all of this together and ensuring that we maintain and we build a connection between the teams amongst team members and leaders, so that again, once we've built a level of empathy, once we've understood where we've come from, once we're clear on what it is that we need to achieve, we stay connected and we're able to build ways that we can stay connected as a team. And then importantly, in addition that we have here is the Ignite the Raw in her program, which really is about accelerating and growing talent. And this is one that has been piloted by our corporate functions people team. We're really excited about this element because it's really about developing young talent, high potential women in the early stages of their careers to really accelerate their careers within Tiger. So again, a very, very clear connection between what it is that Free to Grow, especially in these particular programs, have to offer and what it is that we were trying to achieve. And so once we had determined that there was a very clear need in the beverage business, it was then for us to determine which of these programs would be the best suited. Of course, we then went with WorkQ and LeadQ. In the implementation, what was important is, again, let's first understand the opportunity. So yes, we had the VOT scores, we had the reports from there, we had all the data and the analysis coming from there. But it was also important to understand very clearly from the teams what it is that they needed from the organization and where the organization needed to do better. And so over and above the scores themselves, there were focus groups that were had to really begin to get a lot more granular in terms of what we needed to do. And there you can then see, you start to see a lot more detail about when people talk about inclusive leaders, what are they talking about? They're talking about decision-making. It's about getting feedback regularly. It's about respectful treatment. So we got a lot more richer data and information coming out of that. What's also important is then to not just engage on what is not working with our teams, but also understand what their proposals might be for actions, so that the action plans are co-created with the teams as well, and not just sort of imposed on the teams or assumptions made in terms of what our employees are looking for in terms of the actions and corrective measures that need to be taken. So step one is understanding really the opportunities and making sure that you get the buy-in and the solutions, or the proposed solutions, are co-created with the teams. Having gotten an understanding of some of the actions that needed to be taken and having agreed some of the actions that were implemented, it came, so speaking to the issue of a work-life balance, so amplification of wellness, culminating in a wellness day there. The discussion around leaders, inclusive leaders, is where Free to Grow then came through as a partner for us to work through that as well. And so as you can see, a lot of the actions that were taken spoke directly to the main opportunities, but again with the team's input as well. And so we started to implement Free to Grow, wellness days, and a range of other activities and interventions that were really intended to speak to the needs of the staff and the teams at Riddercorp. What was also important is that we monitor and track. So again, you don't want to make the commitment to the teams and to your employees that you will take action and you go silent. So these conversations really needed to remain top of mind, not only just for the leaders, but for the teams, so that we can hold each other accountable in terms of the committed actions. What's also been important for us in being able to sustain is to understand what it is that we're trying to achieve. So what were the KPIs, or what are the indicators that will tell us whether this was a worthwhile experience or not, whether this was a worthwhile investment or not. And so it's quite important that we are clear on the KPIs that we will continue to monitor and understand whether we are having an impact. Also importantly is that you continue to listen to the employees and have some kind of employee listening strategy in place, so that you consistently are able to go back to your teams and understand whether you are you have responded to their needs effectively. Speaking of KPIs, what's interesting here is that the beverages plant over the years has seen a steady improvement, but between 2023 and 2024, we saw quite a marked improvement in terms of site OEE. We saw a dip in plant stops and breakdowns. But what was quite interesting, especially when we started to talk about, is this having an impact on the staff or employee engagement and morale, you start to see a very significant decrease in absenteeism. And again, when we speak to interventions such as LeadQ and WorkQ, igniting the employee experience, if there's one marker of how engaged your employees are, is probably the absenteeism. And so when you start to see the trends of absenteeism coming down, we begin to get a sense that we are on the right track. And so this has been our journey. It has been a journey of first understanding the opportunities that we have, what it is that we needed to solve for at the beverages plant. It's also understanding how do we co-create the solutions and bring the employees and the staff on the journey, and then making sure that we hold each other accountable and we keep each other honest in terms of what it is from an actual KPI or business performance point of view that we needed to track and to see if we're having the right impact. So that has been our journey. Now I'll share a little bit in terms of the feedback that we received following the sessions at Riddercorp. So here, quite interesting for us was these three questions in particular. So what was your attitude towards work before WorkQ? As you can see broadly in the red and the ambers, and post the session with Free to Grow, certainly a lot greener. Secondly, the connection that you felt to the organization, again, predominantly in the ambers and the reds, and post the session really moving to the green. And finally, again, in terms of being motivated and the levels of motivation, again, a very positive move to the green side of the scale. So overall, what this tells us is that it has been a journey of understanding what it is that we needed to solve for. It's really making sure that our leaders, or helping to start to grow the kind of leaders that we are looking for, and then leveraging Free to Grow and the different programs that they have available for us to be able to really deliver and execute on that culture transformation that we aspire to.
When we were told to come and attend to Free to Grow training, I just came because I was told to come, but only to find out that there's a lot that I'm benefiting, that will benefit me, my family, that will benefit the company that I'm working for.
It's helpful because it's not about work only, it's about life itself, all about life. Even at home, even here.
It has opened the doors that I never thought would be open. The company has really done us good.
I found myself looking deep into myself in whether do I apply myself in the correct way towards life and towards my work life. In the beginning, I felt a bit of a passenger, but now coming out of this, I feel like I'll apply myself more towards the bigger goal of making Tiger Brands a better place, a better manufacturer.
This program came at the time when I needed it. I had self-doubt, facing so many challenges in life, but thanks to this program, I feel equipped to face my problems. I feel equipped to work harder here at work. I feel equipped to face any challenges that come my way.
I was very lucky to be a part of this program. It has changed my entire thinking. I'm gonna go too far with the things that I've learned from this program. And from today, my mindset towards my work will change and will change for better.
My experience for the past 2 days was quite revealing and possibly maybe game-changing.
It was a revival into our mindset. As human beings or as employees, we do have external challenges and we do have internal challenges, but this session has brought a new revival. This will impact the value chain from the security to the clerks to the human resource to management executive. So I feel the whole value chain will be revived.